Hey guys, and welcome back to another video by Beauty by Bridget. I'm Bridget, and you can find me here on YouTube and on Instagram at _beauty_by_Bridget_. A lot of underscores. Today we're gonna do something a little different. Normally I have kind of a theme to my video or something that I focus on, but today I thought we'd get back to the basics. So normally I do my base off camera, but today I thought I would do it on camera. So in the future, when I go off camera and do my base, you'll be able to reference this video to know what I'm actually doing. I'm really excited to do that, but before we get started, if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, it would be a huge help. And on top of that, if you could leave a comment, that would be phenomenal. There's this thing called the algorithm on YouTube, and it does not like new YouTubers, but if you leave a comment, that helps boost me up in the algorithm so people other than you get to see this, which is a big help in me growing this channel and getting to reach more people. I love getting to see what you guys really think about the videos, and the comments are a great way for me to see that and for me to actually interact with you guys. With that being said, let's get started. So before I put anything on my face that you can actually really see, it's really important when you're talking about your base to apply a good moisturizer, some sort of SPF, and primer, because that will help give your skin the nourishment that it needs to make the makeup last, and it'll also protect your skin in the long run, just every single day. It kind of gives back what you're taking out when you're using the products that you need to get your makeup off. The moisturizer that I use isn't really a moisturizer. It's the Estee Lauder Resilience Multi-Effect. It's a face and neck cream, and it has SPF in it. So I kill two birds with one stone. And I actually got this from my grandma. She gave it to me from one of her free gift with purchase bags, but I'm going to buy it again when I run out because it's that good. Next, I will be using my CoverGirl Outlast All Day Primer, and I'm gonna put that around the perimeters of my face because we're gonna use a different primer that's more pore filling on my nose. To help with skin texture and fill up our pores just a little bit, I'm gonna be using my e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer on just my T-zone where my pores are really obvious. And to give a last just layer of tackiness to kind of help our foundation stick, I'm gonna be using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Cucumber 3-in-1 Primer Water. I forgot my fan. I don't know what I did with it. It doesn't really matter, but. Now, something that I've been doing recently that I had never thought to do before, but that's honestly genius, I actually got from Jackie Aina, another YouTuber who's phenomenal. Her content is fantastic if you want to check her out. But I've been using translucent powder to set my primer before I even put any foundation on. And I know that sounds crazy to put powder on before a liquid foundation, but it really helps with longevity, and the powder, since it's translucent, doesn't add any color or distort the foundation at all. I'll be using my Airspun Original Loose Face Powder. This you can get at any drugstore like Walmart, CVS, Target, and it's phenomenal. And Patrick Starr actually is the one that told me about it. I saw it in his video. I wish I knew him, but I don't. But it's fantastic, and it's cheap, and it's huge, so you get a lot, and it's definitely worth the money. And now it's time for foundation. So I personally like a more full coverage foundation. I like to give myself a good even base and not have any of my natural redness appear. However, if you like something more natural, just use the foundation of your choice. For foundation today, I will be using the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Velvety Matte Foundation in shade 600 Cairo. So I not only apply the foundation to my face, but also my neck, because the number one thing that people point out about makeup that looks bad is usually a line along your jawline that gives away that your foundation isn't the right shade. So if you buy a foundation and it's a little bit off, or it just, like, this doesn't look like the color of my skin, but it kind of matches my neck, I always blend it down all the way so that there's no discrepancy between my face and the rest of my skin. Now that we look like a ghost, spoopy season, we're gonna go back in and add a little bit of brightness to the parts of our face that we wanna highlight. Later we'll contour and that will create shadows on our face, but when we add concealer to highlight, it helps to reinforce that contrast that we try and achieve with the contour. And it also, since it's concealer, helps cover up these under eye bags that our foundation didn't fully cover. For concealer, one that I love is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser. It's at the drugstore and it's super cheap, but it's one that I've been using the entire time I've ever been doing makeup, and I love it. And it's about the same quality as something like Tarte Shape Tape, which is a more expensive high-end concealer, but it works really well and just does just as much to cover up the under eye bags and create that highlighting effect. Under my eye, I'm gonna create kind of a little triangle, coming down a little bit past my nose and then coming up so that we don't lighten up too much on this part of our face that we're gonna add blush and bronzer to later, but so that we get this good and light to contrast with everything else that we've got going on. I also like to add highlight on my forehead, just a little bit in the center, down the bridge of my nose on my Cupid's bow, and in a place that nobody really thinks about. This makes a cool noise too. Right below where you would contour, so on your jawline. This really helps to enhance the dimension effect that we do with contour. Kind of reverse contouring, if you will. The longer you let a concealer sit, the more coverage it has, so I usually wait and blend out my under eyes last. To add that extra dimension and coverage, I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in Fair Neutral. So the next step is very important to keeping all of this liquid and cream stuff that we've put on our face already in place, and that is setting. I like to first go in with a translucent powder such as the Airspun, or whichever one you prefer. There are lots out there. And I bake or set under my eyes and anywhere that I put concealer with that. And then I go in with a powder foundation in all other areas to add just even more coverage in a way that also sets all those liquids that we used. I personally love the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Poreless, and I'm in shade 110 Porcelain. Make sure to powder your neck, because remember, we put product there as well, and we don't want it coming off because that defeats the whole purpose of putting it there in the first place. Before I go in and do anything else, one last thing I do to set and help prevent my face looking cakey with all the layers that we're putting on is I apply setting spray. And I know you're thinking that goes at the end, but I find that it's really helpful to do it in between steps as well to make the skin look more like skin again and less like powder. I use the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, and you can use anything. They have drugstore versions of this as well. And then when that's mostly dry, I just press it into the face with the clean part of my beauty sponge. If I really want a certain area of my makeup to stay put for an extended period of time, or if I'm gonna be like hot and sweaty or doing a lot of things, I will bake, which is just putting a lot of powder in a place and leaving that excess on for a couple of minutes and letting it bake. It gets to a temperature under there where it's not gonna move. However, it takes a little bit of time, so to save that time, we're just gonna skip that. Next up, to bring some color back into our face, we're gonna contour or bronze. And for that, I normally don't go super heavy unless I'm doing a more dramatic look in which I'll harshly contour. But just for a normal look that I do on a daily basis or would do on someone else, I just use bronzer to just bring color back into our face and create that dimension that we talked about earlier to contrast with the highlight. For that bronzer, I'll be using the Benefit Hoola bronzer, and I basically just apply that anywhere I want to create shadows. Those areas are usually on like the hollows of your cheeks, so if you suck in like a fish, right there. I focus that bronzer in that area and on my upper cheek to blend upward. Make sure you don't blend down, but you blend up and then into your hairline so it's seamless. I also take that bronzer along the perimeter of my forehead so that my forehead seems a little smaller. When you're putting bronzer on your forehead, make sure you avoid that center part where we put the highlight, because that would once again just defeat the purpose of putting it there in the first place. Another place you can put bronzer is on your nose. A lot of people contour their nose, but I personally don't really mind the shape of mine. And because we put that concealer down the bridge of our nose to highlight in the first place, if you just brush a little bit of contour on either side of your nose, that'll kind of define that highlight that we already did without doing a major harsh contour line. The last, and I think most important place to contour, is under your jawline. I have a double chin. Anybody can have a double chin if they try hard enough, but I just have one, and it's not a bad thing. I don't mind it. However, I would like to minimize it a little bit if I can, because why not? If we're gonna change the structure of our face with makeup, why not go all out? So I like to take my bronzer and go right under my chin and jawline, avoiding going up past where we put that concealer, once again to make sure that we're maintaining that contrast. But I run it from behind my ear forward and just blend that down into our neck where we have already put foundation and powder. Now, a step that I do that some people don't is that I go back in with my powder brush and go over it just in the areas that I think are a little bit harsh, so that I can blend it a little better so that it's not just like lines on my face and looks more natural. Our next step is blush. And for a lot of people, blush is either something they love or something that scares them. For me, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't love looks where it's such a heavy amount of blush where you're just pink, but I also think that it's really important to bring that natural pink back into your look, especially if you naturally have pink undertones, which I do. So I will be using the e.l.f. blush palette in Light, and it's just a 4-color palette, and I usually use these 3 colors and mix them, and I put them on the apples of my cheeks. So when you smile, right there, and I bring it up and back to once again blend in with my hairline and blend with that bronzer. Something that I personally do is take that blush up, just not getting any more on my brush, just what's residually already on there from our last applications. And I take that and I just do little motions to blend that contour into the rest of my face, just to bring some color back, but not enough to where it's like, oh, she put blush on her forehead and she's just pink. And I also do that on my nose. And for that, I don't really worry about the contour line in the middle. I just kind of do a little bit of blush on my nose. Now for arguably my favorite step to do in makeup across the board, whether it's base or eyes, highlight. I love glitter, we know that by now, but I also love just a glowy look to makeup. That makes it, once again, look more like your natural face, because if your face is just natural on its own, it's gonna have a little bit of glow to it, usually just from your natural oils. Today I will be using my all-time favorite highlight, and it's actually one of the more inexpensive highlights that I own as well, and that is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder in 319B Blossom Glow. I take this highlight and I apply it to the highest points of my face. So where our highlight under our eye meets our blush and our contour, that's a good place to put it, and that's like right here on your cheek. You don't want to get it too much into your under eye, or else it looks really shimmery and just kind of messes with the base that you've built. But if you leave it right here and blend it up into your hairline and maybe your eyebrow a little bit, I think it just adds a great glow. Another place that you can put it is above your brow. I highlight basically my entire forehead lightly and then focus the highlight right where my brow is, and that helps to highlight my brow bone once I draw my brows on, but also just right there so the focus is on this part of your face. I also like to highlight the end of my nose, a little bit down the bridge, but mainly the end, and my cupid's bow. And then if that looks a little bit extreme, I go back in with my powder brush and just tone it down a tad. Now to complete the look, we go back in with our setting spray. I will once again be using the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Pressing it into the skin with a sponge helps to make it, once again, just look a little bit more skin-like, even though, yes, it's very obvious that you're wearing a lot of makeup, but just makes it a little more natural in the long run. And this is the base all completed. I know this is probably a more full coverage base, and at some point I will do a more natural base tutorial as well, but this is what I do basically baseline anytime I do my makeup. And this is also what I do most of the time when I do other people's makeup, unless they explicitly ask for something more glam or more natural, in which case I adjust to their needs. I hope this video was helpful to you guys, and especially helpful for in the future if you ever want to come back and reference this when you're watching other videos that I do that focus more on eyes and stuff. If you guys like this kind of basics with Bridget style video, let me know in the comments and we can come up with more ideas for that in the future, like maybe doing a brows video or a basic day-to-day eye video. I could probably do that. In fact, I probably will. Once again, if you could like and subscribe and leave a comment down below, it really would help. It really helps boost engagement, which helps with the algorithm thing that I talked about earlier. Thank you so much for all the love and support that you've shown so far for my channel. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for watching this one. And I hope to see all you beautiful people in the next one.